April Pettyjohn, and this is Follow the Leader Homeschool Education. Hey everybody, welcome to Follow the Leader Homeschool Education. And if you're wondering why I have these delicious, yummy treats on my lap, it is because I love supporting local moms that have a side hustle. And these treats were made by my friend Katie Finnizzia. She has a cottage bakery. She makes things like this delicious sourdough. And also, so she has these, they're like the Little Debbie, what are they? Like the Valentine cakes, like the dupes of those. Yeah. And also these sugar cookies. So she's got a Valentine special going on right now. I want you to go check out her page. Her stuff is delicious. You know, sometimes there's the baked stuff that like it looks so pretty and then you eat it and you're like, you know what I'm talking about. Hers is so good. So anyways, she's a local mama. You can pick it up in Ozark, Clever, Republic, Springfield. I'm going to link her in the show notes and all of her Instagram and Facebook and her website. So I want you to go check it out. It's Finnizzia Cottage Bakery, and I know she would love your support. I am so excited about this episode today. We asked for questions and you guys definitely answered. So this is my friend Amber. This is her first time to be on the podcast. We're going to have you back so that we can just get to know you a little bit more as a person, because today I'm just going to throw you into Q&A. Sounds good. It's going to be so much fun. Okay. And then you guys all know Maxie. You loved Maxie. She was here talking about anxiety and ADHD. So if you missed that episode, you need to go back and listen to it because it was great. I don't know if you can have fun talking about anxiety, but we did.
You can.
We did. So we did it. So I thought today would be great because we have like type A mom, type B mom, type C mom. And when I told Maxie, I was like, you're type C mom. She's like,
so embarrassing.
What does that even mean? I was like, that's why you're type C mom. Yep. So you're going to get all the perspectives.
I still need to look it up.
Yeah. Again.
Yeah. You probably won't.
So good.
I'll look it up for you and send it to you. I appreciate that.
Highlighted with all the key points. Okay, so we asked for some questions about parenting in general, homeschooling, and we got some really great questions. We had to put our minds together to think about how we wanted to answer some of these. So thank you so much for taking your time to send in questions. And before we get started, I just want to say, we are by no means experts at any of this. We are learning. Sure. We are making mistakes. And by the grace of God, we are just taking it one day at a time. So please take all of these answers just, with a grain.
Because we all need a savior.
Yes. Do. Yeah, homeschooling is very sanctifying, and we are all on a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are definitely not perfect, but we're going to do our best to answer these. So, all right, the first question is from Sarah, and it is, how can you homeschool effectively when both parents have to work? I have a remote job, but it's a call center position, so keeping my daughter home is difficult. She will be 6 in August. We actually got quite a few questions about parents working, so I kind of condensed them, but this one was from Sarah. So both parents are working. She has a call center job. Her daughter is 6, almost 6. So,
I work as well. I think most homeschool moms have some other working hat that they have. Yes. So, she's not alone in that. And I would say if God has called you to homeschool, he will work out the logistics.
For sure.
When we started, that is our story. The whole growing up years of my kids, we kept talking about frustrations we had. My kids were in public school and how we felt led to homeschool, but yet the answer was always how could we do that? And then when it was time, it was God completely led it. It was like, and you're doing this. And I say we talked about homeschooling. That's not true. We actually talked about our frustrations, but not answering it with homeschooling because that was really scary. But just a long way about saying, if God has called you to it, he will work out the logistics.
Absolutely.
And I've watched that in our lives.
Yeah.
So,
and we talked about being creative with your schedule. There's a lot of things that you can do throughout the day. It doesn't need to look like that typical school structure. Right. So if you're thinking, well, how is this going to work? Because we have to do school from 8 to 3. it's not going to look like that. You're not going to
Nobody looks like that homeschools.
Absolutely not. Yeah, it's not going to look like that. And then another thing that we kind of brainstormed about was take a look at your finances. I know you're saying that you're working a call center position. Does that have to remain? Do some brainstorming with your husband. Is that a job that you have to keep? Could there be a different position that's an option for you? Could you stop working? I know for a season when my mom was homeschooling me when I was little, they went down to one vehicle. There were a lot of cuts and a lot of sacrifices that were made in our budget to make homeschooling an option for our family.
Yeah, I just think I'll echo like what you said about being creative with your time, because it doesn't have to be 8 to 3. It doesn't even have to be like, there's been seasons of our life when we've homeschooled at night. Like we've honestly, like we've done our stuff through the day, and between like 5 and 8 is when we like cramped in our work, and it worked out just fine. I think as long as you're doing something, it doesn't have to be quite as structured.
Or even weekends, I guess,
Yep.
really, if weekends work better for you.
Yeah. I think you can just get really creative.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. Good. Okay, the next question is from Katie, and it says, Mom of multiple littles, one schooling and one not. How do you incorporate the littles who aren't school ready while doing the others' school? Whew, I have lived that.
I lived that this morning.
Yeah, do you want to start off?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, so Woods is 3, and then the other 3 are in elementary school. And so she definitely like needs more entertainment throughout the day, and I'm not doing much with her one-on-one school-wise. And so what we have for her set up right now, and we've changed this ever so often when it gets boring for her, but we have a shelf that's at her height with boxes she can open.
Yes.
With toys she can play with, and they're all educational. That's like fine motor skills or Play-Doh or coloring, but she has access to it all. And so if she wants to play with something, she doesn't need my help to get it out, which is
that's
step
huge.
1. Very helpful.
Yep.
But then also like she does like need my attention, and so sometimes she'll get a little sad. But today we did our schoolwork at the big table, and I sat with her on my lap and she did puzzles while Walker did his English, and it worked out well because she, again, it's not something she needs a lot of help with, but she just wants me to hold her and wants me to be there with her. And so we do lots of snacks. She has like a box of snacks she can get herself, and it's like a lot of things that I've set up ahead of time that she can do herself. But then she doesn't feel like she's just being shoved into the corner all day long.
Yes.
So.
I think a lot of it depends on the kid's temperament and personality too. If they're a child who is able to be more self-sufficient and more independent, that's going to be a lot different than a child who just is more needy. And for all of ours, we had a phase when they were at a drop-off preschool. So if your finances allow for that, for some reason, I think moms have a lot of guilt surrounding that. I did when I first took Reed, and I would drop him off, and it was a 9 to noon preschool. And it was such a great program. I mean, the teachers, they loved Jesus, and they were so like good to these kids. But for some reason, dropping him off, I was like, I couldn't do it. I'm a bad mom. And it was like, I look back on that and I'm like, why did I give myself such a hard time about that? Like, that was an amazing resource. So if your finances allow for that, even this year, like we chose to put Demi in kindergarten. So she does kindergarten Monday through Thursday at a local church. That has been a huge win for our family. Such a huge blessing. So it kind of goes back to that first question of just being creative with what is going to be the best for your family. So if you have the finances to do a small, even maybe like a 2 or 3 day a week preschool, sometimes that is really beneficial so that you can really focus on that other child that's just starting out and get your rhythms and routines in order. But I love what you said about having things that are accessible for them. That is huge, because if not, then you're going to be going bananas because they're going to constantly ask you for activities.
Tom told me something once, because we did a few different preschool programs as well, and I had the same feelings. And he pulled me to the side one time and was like, babe, have you ever considered the fact that your children may need a break from you? He was like, they like it. Like, let them go be with other people and enjoy learning in a different style. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, because it removed a lot of that mom guilt. Like, I failed. He's like, no, they like it. Like, just let them go.
That's such a good perspective.
Yeah, it's helpful.
I love that.
I just like to point out the beauty of like the moment, which I know they're fleeting and they're beautiful when they happen and then they're gone and it's chaos. But the moment of your child in your lap doing a puzzle while you're doing English, it has so much beauty in it, and it happens as they're older too. Just having a younger sibling, hearing what the older sibling is doing, and vice versa. In our situation, the curriculum that we're doing, Davis didn't get the younger years of it, and it's a curriculum that builds, and so he's getting it, and he got it because he was hearing it in the background from his younger siblings. So
That's awesome.
there's so much learning happening that's beautiful for your younger kid that sets them up for success just by being present.
Oh yeah,
That's
for
so
sure.
good. I love that. So I hope that was helpful. And also too, I know this mom personally, and I just am thinking her daughter is the older one. She's going to be such a great little teacher for little brother. And there are so many opportunities that I can just see older sister pulling little brother aside and teaching him all of the things that she knows, and just having that opportunity. It's just going to be really sweet.
This week was Wells' birthday, and Wes took Woods to the side while I was working with the other two on something, and he showed Woods how to write Happy Birthday, Wells. And it's the sweetest thing. I will save it forever. But just an example, I just love, if they see us doing it, they're going to follow that also, like the older with the younger, and try to teach them things. And it's so cute.
Yes.
And when they
precious.
teach it, they've learned it even better, right? You don't teach it until you know it, so it's
sure.
a gift to them too.
Yep.
For sure. And just practically, I will say there are some really great accounts on Instagram of moms that, and Pinterest, of moms that have really good, like, just busy ideas for busy little hands. And they're easy and quick to make. It's not these super moms out there that are, you need just $100 worth of supplies, and it's just going to take you 8 hours to put this together. It's really easy, simple things that you already have around the house that are little activities that you can make that will keep their attention for a while. Good fine motor skill activities and things like that, or activity buckets that you can set up that you can recycle, like, through different seasons. I would follow some of those accounts because those are really beneficial. So just some practical ideas there.
Yeah.
Okay, our next question is Rochelle. And Rochelle says, I'm considering homeschooling for a 5th grader that is way behind in spelling and reading. There's so much out there, it's overwhelming. Best tips and tricks for beginners. So first of all, thank you, Rochelle, for being vulnerable and just asking this question. I know that can be just hard to realize and recognize and admit, first of all. So
That is something we kind of talked about together off camera, so I might steal from you.
Yeah.
But you had mentioned somebody said you can't get behind if you weren't in line.
Can't get behind if you don't get in line.
If you don't get in line. So the question is, behind what? Like, what are they behind in? Because something, so one of the reasons we're homeschooling is a close friend was like, you can do this. And I was like, kicking and screaming, basically, no, I can't. But then God obviously did it. But anyhow, she kept, and it needed to be repeated to me. Basically, we're 5 years in, and for the first 3 years, it was like, Amber, this is not public school.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look like public school. The results are different than public school. Stop comparing it to public school.
Right.
So there is that. Also, I think what I had wanted to speak to was if you feel like they are behind, meaning you want them to a certain level, you have goals that you have expectations of them, and you feel like they're not meeting that. You are a taxpayer, so you have access to all of the same testing that your public school kids have. So you can just call the counselor at your local public school, and they'll get you set up with testing. So, and then the younger kids, there's a program in our area. I'm pretty sure it's nationwide, called Parents as Teachers. Missouri's really strong with it. But I loved Parents as Teachers when my kids were little. They came to my house once a month and gave me those all those little activity ideas. They were the ones helping me put those together, and then just making sure my kids were on track. So
I don't know what, Rochelle, I don't know what you're considering as far as what you want your homeschooling journey to look like. My first piece of advice is don't do it alone. I don't care what you do, just don't do it by yourself. So whether you're planning on joining an actual, like, established co-op, if you're going to do a play group, maybe a nature group or a hiking group, something, thing. Get involved some way with some other moms so that you have a network of community. And one of the reasons for that is because you're going to have resources within that community that can point you towards, oh, hey, this mom's great at tutoring chemistry. Oh, hey, this mom tutors math, because you're going to have a lot of moms within that community. Oh, hey, we all take our kids over to Julie's house on Thursdays and she does physics with them. That is huge within the community. I know that happens within our co-op. There's a lady that does a lot of math tutoring at one of the churches a couple days a week. So
Does she tutor grown-ups?
I'm sure she would. None of us are proficient at all of the things. No. We all need each other. So please don't go into this thinking, I have to do this all on my own and I have to be able to teach all of these subjects well, because that's just too much pressure. And nobody's able to do that. Nobody's expecting you to do that. So make sure that you have a good network around you of people that can pour into you and drive you to other people that can help. Yeah.
Can I add to that one?
Please.
I feel so my son is 4th grade and has always really struggled with reading. He's dyslexic and he's got some learning barriers. But something that I've learned over the last couple years with homeschooling him is to foster more of like his love of learning versus trying to get him to a level. And so for reading, what that looked like for us, because he would sit down at the table, see his reading lesson and burst into tears because he didn't understand it and it was intimidating. And so for reading specifically, we literally tried 5 curriculums for one, because if we tried one for like a month and it just wasn't working, I didn't want to keep pushing him to do something that wasn't working. So we finally found one that's amazing. It's called All About Reading. And that one has stuck really well for him. And I started him probably 2 levels below what he could actually do, just to rebuild his confidence.
Yes.
And we were able to work through it so quickly, but just the fact that it took away that like emotional barrier, when he sat down, he knew what he was looking at. It ignited more of like a love of the learning versus getting him to the level. And he's actually progressed farther than I think he would have if I was continuing to push the higher level stuff.
That's such a good tip. I love that. We've done the same thing with spelling, and I have started them a technical like grade level below where they are, and it does, like, Noah opened up the book, he's like, this is so easy, I got this. Like,
and it builds their confidence, and that makes a
absolutely.
difference. Because if you think about it, like the goal that we're aiming for is not a level, it's like love of lifelong learning. We want our kids to have successful careers and successful relationships, and like it doesn't matter if they score a certain level on a test if those other things aren't there. You know what I mean? So like just kind of restructuring what is the goal, and trying to build into that instead.
And since you're going to be home with them, you have the privilege of discovering what are they interested in.
Sure,
and so as you're teaching them to read, you get to really dig into that. Like, you're going to take a trip to the library and you're going to say, do you like fiction books or do you like nonfiction books? Oh, do you like to learn about animals? What kind? Oh, you like to learn about sea animals? And then you can really press in and hone in on how has God wired them? Like, what is their bent towards? And then you can really start teaching towards their bent.
Right.
Which is such a privilege. So, anything else that we want to say on that one?
I think just to point to the older student. So, like, I have a junior in high school who's preparing for the ACT. So, when you're like saying, are they on level? Like, he's getting ready to take a test that will affect money. So I would like him to do well, and he would like to do well. So there are resources to speak directly to that. So part of his curriculum this year is we bought an ACT book off of Amazon, and he is going through that as part of his curriculum and taking practice tests. So if you do need to keep them on a level for a reason, there are resources to help you do that.
Yeah, for sure. This is a total rabbit trail, but I'm going to go on it. Since you said that, I just want to say that now that Ella is in college, one of the things about homeschool kids is that they are not test taking that often. And so she did have a more difficult time with entrance exams because they're just not used to taking tests. And so she called me the other day and she was in tears, and I was like, well, what is going on? She's like, I failed a test. And I was like, okay, like, it's okay. Like, it's, we're going to be okay. We're going to be resilient. And she's like, I still have 106% in the class, but I failed this test. And I'm like, okay.
So it's not about the material.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so anyways, it was a good conversation to have, and, just give her some advice about like, hey, I'd reach out to the professor. I would ask if there are like test taking resources on campus. So I would just say, if you have older kids, if you are homeschooling and you have been for a while, I would expect test taking to be an obstacle as they are getting older.
So something that has helped us is, in particular, my oldest has done math through an online program where he is taking tests and doing it with another teacher.
I love that.
So I feel like, one, he has the ability to take a class online.
Yep.
Two, he has the test takings. And so that test is through our that class is through our public school system. So because of that, over the years, he's had to be a part of their state tests at different points. And I've even had to like bring him to a building to take his test all day. Yeah. He of course hated it, but I saw those as opportunities because I was like, buddy, one day you will have to do these tests. And so he's got practice for them and has no issue with them. So there are ways to introduce that into your homeschooler's world. Yep. So it's not
so if that's something foreign. You can expose them to a little bit, in little bits along the way. I think it would be beneficial if your child's planning on going to college, giving them that kind of exposure and heads up early on so it's not so jolting.
Yeah.
Would be good. All right, that was a great beginning to our Q&A. We only got through 3 questions, but we're going to continue it next time. And until then, happy learning.